Get in there, Lewis. What a way to do it, mate. Championship wasn't won today, mate, but it was won through a season of solid work.
Welcome then to Marina Bay and a tough, bumpy street circuit that will test these drivers to their absolute limit. So sit back and enjoy the action here at the Singapore Grand Prix. And here's our track, 4.94 kilometres long, and overtaking chances into the first corner, into turn 14 at the end of the Esplanade, and now into turn 16 in the newly reprofiled sector that we first ran on in 2023. Still though, it's punishing and tough on the brakes, and the heat and humidity will take an effect on our drivers. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Antonelli, Hamilton, Yuki Tsunoda, and Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell, Stroll, and Isaac Hadjar, Albon, Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz, and Lawson, Doohan, Ocon, Ollie Behrman, and Nico Hülkenberg. Bortoletto and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? And alongside me, bringing glamour and expertise to our commentary today, Naomi Schiff. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, every driver certainly has their own way of preparing themselves before a race. But I can tell you that pre-race rituals are a real thing. When I was in go-karting, I used to touch every wheel in a specific sequence before I got into the kart. And then I stepped up to cars and had a specific set of fireproof base layers just for race day. So watch the drivers when they're on the grid. Some may be sitting on the floor and isolating, others may be up to other things that they do. But these little things really help their minds get ready for the race.
All right, give me a quick radio check, please. Radio check.
Radio check.
DRS now enables. DRS enabled. Great work, that's a new fastest lap of the race. That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done. Good job, that was the fastest lap of the race so far.
amazing car all weekend. Thank you very much, everyone.
And here he comes. It's all go, go, go for Lando Norris as he takes the checkered flag and wins.
There was never a moment of doubt today. You could tell that they completely had it under control, and that is a sign of greatness.
What a day it's been for Formula One, and what a day it's been for these three drivers. Time for the podium celebrations. Time for our drivers to celebrate. He holds the trophy aloft, and why shouldn't he? A richly deserved win today for Lando Norris.